Oh, do I have to talk now? Can't I just listen to that music? We just switched up bumpers here. Got a little boring, a little stale on the show, at any rate. What's important is the spoken word and not the bumpers. Yeah, maybe to you, but not to me. Yeah, I do this every day. At any rate, Andy, are the Deutschland people going to find their gold? He dropped? I guess that was a rhetorical question, and I'm not going to get an answer until we do a reconnect.
I'm back.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
It was such horrible connection, I had to redial. So.
Well, you sounded good before. It must have been on the return to you. Look, Deutschland is looking for its gold. Are they going to get it out of the New York Fed or not?
Well, who knows what they're going to actually say. But, I mean, look, it's a very, very big deal. This trend started back in 2 years ago when Venezuela asked to have their gold back from the Bank of England, and it's really started to become a major chain reaction. The Swiss are considering it, the Netherlands are considering it, and Germany supposedly is the second largest owner of gold in the world. So the fact that they are asking to get their gold back from both the U.S. and France is a major, major shot across the bow. And if that gold is in fact not there, it's hard to believe that this is not going to come out.
Well, well, look what a good job they did on the contracts they were short on the COMEX. You know, I mean, that's a disaster waiting to happen any given hour of the day, any day of the week. But
that's right. That's right. There's so many of these swans of all kinds, black, white, gray, you name it. And it could very well be the Germans not finding their gold being at the Fed that starts it all. Or it could be one of another dozen things out there. But this is major because I wrote about this years ago, about the trust level. And now that people realize that the fiat currencies are being destroyed, the trust that anyone who's holding real money for someone else is going to go down. It's really amazing when you look at the Japanese destroying the yen on purpose. Today, if you could believe this, the head of the Euro group said the euro is too high and needs to be taken down. It's barely moved up. I mean, we're talking about major, major lack of confidence in paper that's going to be spreading around the world, and a major, major desire to get every piece of real money out there back in your own hands.
Well, Andy, and the question begs, what is the advantage for Venezuela dumping their goodie bag in an English bank, or the Germans putting their gold in the New York Fed? What are they doing? Are they leasing that stuff out? What's going on? Why leave it in another country?
Well, when it was done way back when, there was no real care about gold. I mean, when Germany put their gold there after World War II, it was paper money. No one really could care less about gold. And, their excuse back then was, well, we wanted it in a safe place overseas in case, the war overtakes Europe. But for the most part, they just didn't care about it. And the same with the Venezuelans. They were unsophisticated. They were told the U.S. is the safest place to put things, and they did. And now they realize that not only is the U.S. not safe because it's one of the most corrupt nations on the planet, but the gold may actually be gone. And the first person to get it, which was Venezuela, got it, but maybe the second person doesn't get it. And at some point, there's no doubt in my mind that that gold has been leased out against the wishes of the owners. And, so it's going to come to a head some way, shape, or form. I just don't know when or where.
Well, and this, and a lot of people do not understand in the economy. And I want to run through some of this stuff because the percentage of the workforce out there. Now, they've been manipulating numbers on the workforce, since this thing blew up. And you got to understand what's going on out there in the job market. And it really sucks. I mean, these companies are maintaining profits by laying people off, not because they're producing and selling more. It just looks good on the balance sheet. Well, demand is down a little bit, so we'll just lay off 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 workers. And it's absolutely crazy. If you look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, their own tables reveal a startling fact. If we go back to July of this year, second quarter, beginning third quarter rather, the U.S. actually lost 1,204,000 jobs. But what did they do? They come out and said, we added 163,000 new jobs that were created back in July 2012. Well, that's just not true. And part of the reason here is that these private sector, they only added a net of 27,000 jobs, and that represented an added $76,000, or 1,000 rather, goods-producing jobs, less 49,000 lost in the private sector. So basically what I'm saying here is they're in there cooking the numbers to try to make people believe that the economy has faltered. Yeah, it's sluggish, it's slow, but we're going to be just fine. The government has made up its mind to stick by its policies, and that's not going to bode well for us, is it?
Well, if you look at the
John, one of the things that I was looking.
Wait a minute. One first.
Andy. Paul. No, go Paul.
Go ahead, Paul.
I'm just going to point out. Here's a classic example of how the government screws us out of real jobs. Look at the firearms industry. We're talking the firearms industry employs about 98,000 Americans and 110,000 peripheral jobs as suppliers and ancillary industries, generating $4.5 billion in taxes. So here now they're going to ban the sale and manufacture of firearms. So let's just cut out another $4.5 billion of government revenue.
Well, that's bad news for the guy.
And it's put it on.
Yeah, that's bad news for the guy who just got laid off and is now working in guns.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com. And now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity and is safe for you and your family. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com, spelled BIOAGE.com, BioAge.com, or call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
American gardeners and fellow patriots, make the right choice with your money, time, and your family food supply. Choose 100% pure heirloom seeds in the Survival Seed Vault from MyPatriotSupply.com. Why spend more? The Survival Seed Vault from MyPatriotSupply.com is only $37.95 and includes 20 varieties of pure, hardy, easy-to-grow heirloom seeds. Yes, only $37.95. That's 70% less than our competitors. You could buy 3 Survival Seed Vaults for less than one of theirs. The Survival Seed Vault from MyPatriotSupply.com includes detailed planting and seed-saving instructions and ships same day. Plus, all orders over $49 ship free. MyPatriotSupply.com is American-owned by patriots like you, passionate about freedom and preparedness. Call now, 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Or discover more emergency preparedness items when you order at MyPatriotSupply.com. Choose the original. Choose the Survival Seed Vault at MyPatriotSupply.com.
Herbal Healer Academy's new summer specials. Our 500 parts per million colloidal silver, all sizes on sale. Organic liquid iodine, liquid cal, mag, vitamin D, CoQ10 with hawthorn, colon enhancer, Super 2, natural laxative, our exceptional product Connexin, memory power, and super male and femplex. All on sale for the summer at herbalhealer.com. Also, 10% off on the HHA survival course. This is an important time to have this information. Might save your life. Nation's leader in supplying quality natural medicine and education. herbalhealer.com. Free online newsletter. Quality natural medicine supplier since 1988. We ship the same day you place your order. Free 128-page catalog with your first order. Go to herbalhealer.com today. herbalhealer.com.
You're tuned in to the National Intel Report, the Real Talk Radio Show.
All right. Andy, you were going to say.
Yeah, well, if you look at any number that's out there that actually gives an employment indicator other than the NFP payroll number, which itself doesn't even catch up with population growth, they're down. If you look at the seasonally adjusted numbers, they're down. If you take out the birth-death model, they're down. And by the way, the only segment of the population that has had an increase in job growth over the entire last 4 years is 55-plus-year-old people, meaning Walmart greeters, McDonald's, etc. And it just is remarkable how they continue to talk about recovery when you have a record low labor participation rate. And look, American Express just laid off 10% of their workforce yesterday. So my opinion is, going back to what we said before, that the nation peaked for many reasons. Fiat currency only made it worse, but we lost those jobs just because there's a lot of people in the world that could do things cheaper. And whether it's tariffs or cheap labor in China, et cetera, those jobs are never coming back. And the only remedies are ones that make things worse. So my opinion is that the unemployment rate has to go dramatically higher to make the world get back to normalcy.
Well, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics, sometimes these figures and numbers start to run together. What this is saying, now they said that back in July, 163,000 new jobs. Well, yeah, but we actually lost 1.2 million plus, and that 1,204,000, maybe you were one of the 4,000 out there, folks. And according to their data, the number of people employed had climbed to 143,262,000 last month, an overall increase of 847,000 in the 6 months since June. Now, the number of people with government jobs, ready for this, folks, increased by 621,000 to 20,559,000. That's how many people are on the federal payroll. The same 5-month period since June, these 621,000 new government jobs created in the last 5 months equals almost 74% of that 847,000 new jobs created. So
there you go. That's what I said.
Man, what the...
The thing is, John, I just want to, again, hit the point, and that's when you take a look at tariffs and tariff reform, it's huge. NAFTA, GATT, all demonstrate that. We have to basically protect our markets. China has a protected market. Look at their tariff legislation. Look at their laws on the books. Look at the things that they will not permit to come into their country without a heavy tariff, a heavy tax. Countries that are successful economically, they don't let other countries sell stuff in their country without paying for it. And that's the mistake we've made here in the United States. Now, throw another problem out there, and that's the national defense budget, $800 billion. We don't charge anybody for using our military. We are in, I don't even know how many countries around the world. And you take a look at South Korea, which spends a pittance on national defense because we're there. We're paying for their national defense. Look at Japan as another example, a pittance because we're there.
Right.
We should be getting compensated. You want to talk about turning this thing around from a pragmatic standpoint. These people should be paying us for their national defense.
Well, and we should shut down the damn bases. We should bring these people home because we do have 900 military bases around the world. And if these governments want protection of some sort, let them go out and hire a band of mercenaries.
Yeah, but it's too late to bring them home. We all know that, because if you bring them home, they're going to have no jobs, and the situation will get worse.
But Walmart says, we'll hire all the vets you can send us.
No, but Walmart doesn't need people. Walmart has enough people. That's the problem. We're talking about the fiscal cliff.
Yeah.
And if they did the fiscal cliff, they would have had to lay off hundreds of thousands of military jobs. Those people would have no jobs. You'd have social unrest, especially if you're going to get rid of the unemployment benefits. And as for tariffs, exactly right. That's what we should have done way back when Ross Perot warned about the giant sucking sound.
Yeah.
Too late now.
Yeah.
You try to put tariffs now, then you're going to raise the cost of everything that we pay for in life.
I don't think it's too late. I think the only way that we can basically reestablish any type of manufacturing base, the only way we can reestablish any type of business class, middle class in this country is we've got to have protective tariffs. It's never too late for that. Now, what's going to happen if we did that? There's going to be a transition period. Since we've got people receiving unemployment benefits for 99 weeks, that gives us 2 years to get it right.
Well, and the last thing I want to see is 25, 35 pissed off ex-servicemen as greeters when I walk into Wally World.
Well, and they've already received their 99 weeks. It's not 99 weeks starting today. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
I mean, there is literally nothing that can be done. You cannot add tariffs now because it would be such a shock to the system when costs exploded that it would kill everyone. You cannot have a fiscal cliff where you cut spending because you're going to put people out of work and not give them benefits, and there'll be social unrest. I mean, there's literally nothing you could do except to keep printing money until the system collapses. There is no other choice. That's how it's worked for the first 600 fiat currencies, and that's how it's going to work here.
I'd have to agree with you that that's the point where they're at is they will not accept any other solution than collapse. But obviously there's solutions, and the solutions are what we presented. I mean, for a country to reestablish its manufacturing base, for a country to reestablish its industrial base, for a country to reestablish its retail base, to do that all with homegrown business, that isn't a reach by any length of the imagination. You look at any country where nationalism has taken hold, you're going to get an economic recovery that takes hold with it. I mean, it just happens. Now, obviously, there's got to be other reforms. We've got to kick out the banksters that are running the system. We've got to repudiate a good portion of the
now you're talking seriously about the real fix. I think, geez, Paul, I'm tell you what, if I was any congressman in the Congresses assembled since 1913, I would have. Who's on their keyboard?
Me.
Okay, gotcha. At any rate, I knew it was one I could get it 50% right. I was just going to ask, though. The problem here is that simply, the Fed should have been done away with. I mean, if you want to look at it in its most simplistic terms, it's a tax on the money. No matter what it touches, it costs more. Now, this coin deal, I was thinking about, Paul, you brought this up. They want to print a stamp. You can't print a coin. You got to stamp a platinum coin. And, we could do an end around the Fed the way Kennedy did back in his one and only presidency. You can instruct. Now, I understand that this coin will be minted. It'll be stuck in the Treasury. That's going to be the deposit. We'll draw off of that. Okay. Then why don't we do this? Print up 5 1-ounce platinum coins, claim that there's $5 trillion in it, then tell the United States Treasury, okay, we want you to print new money off of our deposits. That's basically what Kennedy did to compete with the fiat money masters that have a chokehold on the entire planet. The difference being, we can circulate that money and at least give suckers an even break. They don't have to pay the tax, the usury, or some people call it interest. Yeah,
I mean, honestly, I think that's viable. If you're gonna pair it with, as I said, some basic repudiation of the debts that we have, or let's pretend we just refinance the debt with $1 trillion coins like that are Treasury minted, that are interest free.
Now, this sounds insane, but no more insane what they're doing right now.
Yeah, and on a going forward basis, we refuse to use any more Federal Reserve notes. If we were to do that, I mean, that would definitely, just through inflation, which is taking place one way or the other, would benefit us. But as you said, we've got too many people in Congress that are compromised. They're bought, they're paid for, and you're just not going to do it.
All right. Let me hold on a second. I want to go to Mark here in a second. What I was trying to say before about all this cheap money at the top tiers. Now, income growth and gains, you can create this money just because you create it. This is not going to benefit the whole economy. Those closest to the government or that top tier, they get to spend it at or near present dollar value. And as this money spreads out and trickles down, inflation eats it up. Too much money chasing too few goods, so on and so forth. Real tangible stuff in the marketplace. This is a game. If they don't have you on the government dole by way of benefit, which they've got to borrow the money to pay you the benefit, whether they pay you unemployment or they put you to work in a useless bureaucratic job, is little or no difference. Mark in Texas. Let me interject Mark here. Hello, Mark.
Good afternoon. Perfect timing for an employee pension fund talk.
Uh-huh.
I didn't hear anything from Backracky Bernanke today, but what I did hear some from was Geithner. he sent a letter over to Congress and said they was going to borrow. The government's going to borrow $156 billion from the Federal Employees Pension Fund.
Oh, really?
To circumvent the debt ceiling for a short period of time until, of course, the congressional leadership finds it necessary to raise the debt ceiling, and at that point, they will reimburse the fund fully.
Wow.
Now, you want to talk about the snake eating its own tail.
That's what they did in 2011, by the way. Same exact thing. They took away, tens of billions of dollars from federal pension funds to buy themselves a few weeks. And what happens if this time around they can't raise the debt ceiling? That money's gone. They just stole it from people, tens of billions of dollars.
They did the same thing to the post office. That's how they kept the post office solvent, because they went after the employees' pensions.
And Mark, since you brought this up, a lot of people do not realize they're just holding with bated breath that their retirement funds are going to be there. Their 401s, their IRAs, their government pension plan, their school teacher pension plan, whatever the case may be. But a lot of these retirement funds were kept afloat by at least garnering an interest in the money that was deposited. That's dried up and blown away because you see, ladies and gentlemen, the banks, they're too big to fail. They've got to make an environment out there that it's safe for them to do business and transact and still make profit, but not have any money out there floating around in circulation for capital or investments or whatever the case may be. So the point is that a lot of these funds that, were parked someplace and they were drawing interest, guess what? The interest isn't there. It is a dead, stagnant pool of money, of which it looks like, according to you, Mark, the government's got its fangs out and bared and is getting ready to gobble it up.
They have to keep in mind, they have to get to March 2nd this time around, because that's when this sequester starts. So I have a feeling they're going to be stealing a lot more money than they did in 2011. And, God help us if there is a delay in that debt ceiling and they can't get it going because Boner and Reed are fighting, because you're going to talk about some really, really angry people that have had their money stolen from them.
Watch the bond funds. Yeah. I'll talk to y'all later.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Bye now.
Watch the bond funds. I just, guys, this is like a perpetual nightmare that doesn't want to end. Now, taking from your point of view, Andy, the government's stuck. The only thing it can keep doing is monetizing and stealing. That's the only thing that they can do.
Yeah, the way that I look at things, I do not think, a lot of politicians, they say, well, things are bad, but if we do this, we could fix it. There is no one anywhere on earth that can convince me that there's anything that could be done to make things better. In fact, if they dissolved Congress and didn't do a single thing, that's the best thing they could do, and still everything will fall apart. This system is at the end. It's a Ponzi scheme at the very end. They can say what they want. They can increase spending, reduce spending, increase taxes, do whatever the heck they want. The fact is the confidence in the dollar is going to collapse, because the only way that you can keep a Ponzi scheme going is growing it higher. And take a look at the parabolic chart of the debt, which is only going to become more parabolic, or let's say hyperbolic. And eventually, probably in the next year or two, you're going to see the run on the dollar and, as Mark said, on the bond funds.
Well, I'm looking at the employment picture, and they're trying to wiggle themselves out. I don't know how, I know how. They said they created 163,000 new jobs, but those are not real numbers. But if you take a look at the employment picture out there, for God's sakes, what was it, Hyundai or something like that? They had X number of job slots to fill, 877, and 20,000 people showed up. 20,000 people.
They're not real jobs. They're actually not real jobs. They're made up. But even the job creation, 163 jobs doesn't even come close to the rate of population growth. And more importantly, just look at the data. These are part-time jobs. These are temp jobs. The real wages have been falling since the 1970s, and the new jobs that are coming on are even worse right now. All that you see with jobs is just the government propaganda. It's no different than what they do with the inflation data, what they do with everything. And, for anyone to to say with a straight face that the job picture is improving, yeah, they lowered the unemployment rate right in front of the election because the, the labor participation rate hit an all-time low. So, don't believe anything that's published by the government, particularly when it's about employment or inflation.
Well, I'm looking at the jobs. Dow Chemical announced it's going to be closing 20 plants, furloughing 2,400 people. Now, folks, keep in mind, according to the president, hey, job growth, it's positive, it's out there. Really? Colgate-Palmolive announced they'll be eliminating 2,300. DuPont, 1,500. Ford, it's eliminating 6,200 jobs, mostly in Europe. Hewlett-Packard, 29,000. AMD, which they got main offices down here in Central Texas, about 15% of their workers. Sony, 2,000 workers. Sharp, 11,000 jobs. Cummins, diesel people, they plan to get rid of 1,500 jobs by the end of 2012. Here's one for you. Siemens AG. They announced that the number of positions being eliminated could reach 10,000 by the end of the year. And, this all looks double plus good on the books to the stock market. Looks like everything is up. But this is a trade-off. To maintain your profits and a high ranking on Wall Street, you're doing it by eliminating what? The very people that created the wealth for you in the first place.
John, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I don't, we talk about Wall Street. I mean, what did they do? They bumped up the S&P 500 50 points after this last deal went through to make it appear that this is a popular move on quote-unquote Wall Street. I mean, the reality is Wall Street's as big a fraud as everything else. I mean, if you go back a year and a half ago, the SEC said we're no longer going to accept freedom of information requests from journalists or anybody else. So if you want to question quarterly reports, if you want to know what's going on with the company that filed something maybe midterm or even an updated annual report, good luck. You're never going to get it. You can't get it out of them.
Well, and
they basically are fudging all the records. So we talk about earnings. What earnings? There are no earnings. It's a joke.
Well, and folks, I don't have to tell you this if you're in the manufacturing sector. Since 2001 alone, since good old China, the commies over there joined the WTO, more than 56,000 manufacturing facilities in the United States have been shut down. 50,000 jobs a month. Bye-bye.
Hey, meat eaters, the freeze-dry guy wants to know, does your emergency food supply meet the standards for survival? Then get the 144-day meat variety unit from the freeze-dry guy. Our meat units utilize only quality Mountain House freeze-dried cooked ground chicken and ground beef, the undisputed choice for great taste and highest nutrition. The Freeze-Dry Guy's 144-day meat variety unit includes 6 number 10 cans of the very best freeze-dried animal protein for power you'll need when the going gets tough. Every Meat Eater's 144-day meat variety unit comes with a free medical kit and always free shipping to the lower 48. Need more than 144 days? See our 1-year plus Meat Eater's units at freezedryguy.com. And hey, the Freeze-Dry Guy still has LRP rations, but they're going fast. Don't wait until tomorrow. Call now, 866-404-3663. That's 866-404-3663. Or go to freezedryguy.com and meet the standards for survival.
As many of you know, natural supplements are fantastic for your body and have 0 side effects. You need to restore your body's natural balance. TerraVim strives to carry only the highest quality dietary supplements and natural vitamins that can be beneficial in helping your body recover from the impact of daily stress, allergens, illness, environmental pollution, and the aging process. Why buy from TerraVim? Simple. TerraVim provides a rewards program. Earn $1 for every $10 spent, free health consultations, free shipping on all orders, and an additional 10% discount on every order when you mention the coupon code RBN. Call 866-647-4372. That's 866-647-4372, or go to terravim.com. That's TerraVim.com. TerraVim, the best supplements on earth.
How important is the air we breathe? Our air purifiers are made with a patent process called Aeron. Aeron is different from ozone. Aeron does not create oxides of nitrogen like other ozone machines. Unlike any air purifiers out there, the Aeron generator adds additional energy, creating higher forms of oxygen. And when the Aeron molecule comes in contact with pollution, the pollution is quickly oxidized. These higher forms of energized oxygen have more power to oxidize pollutants, removing dust, pollen, mold, and other particles from the air, destroying chemical fumes and toxic gases, kills mold, mildew, fungi, and kills many viruses and bacteria in the air and on surfaces for a healthier, cleaner environment. Visit our website, republicbroadcasting.org. That's republicbroadcasting.org. Just click on our online store or call 877-605-9200. That's 877-605-9200. Be prepared. How important is the air we breathe?
Well, folks, if you adjust the currency out there, the average hourly back in 1964, all things thrown in, cost of employees and wages and all that stuff, about, you could maybe net $17. Well, what were you getting in 2008? About $18. Now, forget the fact that a house back in the 50s cost you, what, $5,000? A car in the late 60s. I remember my mommy bought a 69 Camaro that I wished I would have kept and taken care of. But I was young and stupid, and I wrecked that thing more times than you could ever shake a stick at. But the point being, she bought a car for $3,600 out the door. Can you go out there and buy a car right now for $3,000, $3,500? Can you go out and buy a house right now for $10,000 or $20,000? Of course you can't. So on top of all of this, what you're seeing is your dollar going bye-bye, the country enmeshing us in more and more debt, which is further destroying the dollar, but the debt. And folks, the only reason the interest rates are being kept low is because the government doesn't want to lose another $1 trillion a year paying these bankster gangsters for interest on the money. It's pretty plain and pretty simple. And they're clamoring that they don't have enough to meet their budgetary needs when they're not going to make any cuts and they're going to raise taxes. We're at a stalemate. We got a government that does not want to do anything to fix the problem. As Andy said, they can't. Gentlemen.
Oh, why not just kick the can as long as you can? That's what I would do.
Well, if you were in a position to answer to somebody about your job or your job performance or the economy moving down the road, but, who do they think they're fooling anymore?
No, Obama got elected because, as Paul said, he promised the most. Right now, when you have more than half of the nation on entitlements, of course you're going to vote for the person who's going to give you more. The hope is gone. Obama talks about hope, but literally the hope of jobs is gone. And that's why it's this is what happens in a fiat currency. It eventually it destroys itself and the government takes over as the largest employer and people need the government. And then all of a sudden you see stuff like all these shootings and then the people are begging the government to make laws to protect them. And the next thing you know, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And if you think weird stuff is going to stop happening, I tell you what, experiments have been done. Even lab rats. Geez. That's what I feel like anymore is a lab rat in a never-ending maze, and guess what you don't get when you get to the end of the maze? You don't even get a little treat.
Gulag Archipelago, that's all I've got to say. 2 words. Gulag Archipelago. That's what they want. They want all of us basically working in their slave camps, basically of subsistence living, with no ownership of anything, because that's how they maximize their profit off of us.
Well, I was just blown away when I started looking at the statistics and the private versus public sector jobs. Folks, if you look at the government statistics, you go back to 2000. We're up to 23, maybe 22 on a scale here, you're looking at, well, wait a minute here. Oh, my God. The public sector jobs have done nothing but risen, but guess what happened in 2008? It started to go down the tubes. And it ain't coming back. The jobs are gone. You know, how many burgers can you flip? How many grannies can you get in McDonald's to compete with illegal aliens that somehow got a green card? How do you compete with an 18-year-old kid that's still in high school? You don't. Andy Hoffman, we got to let you go. Hey, I thank you for sitting in for Gerald Celente today.
No problems. Great time as always.
All righty, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Sure.
Paul Drockton will remain with me. I'm your host, John Stadtmiller. We'll be right back.